Okay, now we're back in the finished side of the shop, and as I showed you before, I've got all the holes drilled out, ready to be stitched. So let me lay this down here, and I'll pan down so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I have two stitching needles. They're straight stitching needles. There, can hardly get in the camera, right there. And this stitching thread that I'm using is it's wax coated for protection. This stuff's really strong. I don't really think you could break it. But anyway, I always have to thread these, which this is the toughest part, just threading these needles, because that wax on there builds up in that eyelet and it can be a bear. So you just pull it through like that. So far, you can see that. And I just take it and I twist it. I twist it just like that. It kind of bonds it all together. Then I go down here to, you kind of have to guess how much line you're going to use. Sometimes you just don't want to come up short, because when you come up short, then you got a problem. So anyway, I just pull out what I think will do it. I wish I said I had this down to fine art, knew every inch of how much I need, but I don't. So it's usually guesswork, and so far I've come out pretty good. I guess I've done enough of them, I can guess it. Anyway, you flatten that end out like that, just flatten it out, and you stick it through that eyelet. And I got that first time. And just pull it through like that, and you twist it. And that makes a double needle ready to stitch. So here's what you do. You get you a starting place, and I always like to start in one of the corners, right here. So you stick your needle through, just like that, and I grab the other needle and get them evened up. So once you stick that needle through, you take your other needle, I hope I'm staying on camera on this, and go into the next hole, pull it through, like that. Come around the back side, and all you're doing is going through the same hole that you just come out of, just like this. Sometimes you have to get a pair of pliers to pull that through, and then you pull that down, and that makes, you secure it, and that makes your first stitch right there. And what you do, you just continue doing that over and over. If you run that needle through that way, and they call it a saddle stitch, because you go through one way and back out the other. And you just come and go right back through that hole there. Just like that. You pull it tight. And you just keep doing that. Through that hole. Grab the other needle. You go right back through that hole there. And that makes a stitch. You pull it tight. Is it faster with the machine? Yeah, quite a bit. But I don't know, I just started out doing this, and if you got $3,000 to spend on a stitching machine, fine. I'd say do it. But I'm kind of old school, I just do it by hand. All my stuff's handmade, and I can pay attention to what I'm doing, and don't make any bobbles this way, and it does a good job. See, it's making nice stitches, and when you get done, it just looks like you've done it with a machine anyway. It takes a little more time, but that's part of making a nice sheath or a knife. It's time consuming, but it's enjoyable. You start out with nothing, and you end up with a beautiful knife or a beautiful sheath that you can be proud of, and you know that the person you hope is going to be proud of it. That's a satisfaction. It's just seeing the finished product, especially when you're sanding on a knife. When you first start out, you think, oh my gosh, I've got a long way to go. But every step, every grip that you do, you start seeing that knife turning into a beautiful knife. And the closer you get to the end, the more satisfied you are. Knife making is a gratifying hobby. It's a stress reliever. It's, I don't know. It's just something that you know you're personally doing, and it's so rewarding when you get something done, like whether it's a sheath, whether it's a knife, and people pick that up and say, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, I love it. That's where all the reward's at. That you made something for that person that they were willing to spend their money on, hard-earned money, by the way, that they were willing to spend that money on your product. So yes, I'm going to make it the best I can make it. I don't cut any corners. I mean, you can cut corners if you want, but to get quality product, you can't miss one thing. And that's what you have to do if you're going to make knives or make sheaths. And I'm doing this all for you guys. I'm trying to show you. I've had people want me to do classes on making knives, but I thought, you know, I could get on YouTube or get on one of the other social medias out there, you know, and start from scratch and try, you know, as you can see, I'm not a videographer or the best spokesperson in the world, but I'm basically just trying to show you how to make these products, whether it's a knife or a sheath, without you having to spend a fortune on going to a class somewhere or whatever and learn how. Yeah, you can learn here, it don't cost you nothing. And I enjoy doing it. And so far I've got all the way across this top. And I'm just continue lacing and doing an awful lot of talking while I'm doing it. But I don't think you want to just sit here and watch me lace in complete silence. But that's how you do it. And I'm not going to go ahead and, you know, have you hanging on here watching me finish out this lacing. It's called stitching. I call it lacing. I'm back and forth on that terminology. But you can basically see how it works. You got one needle on each side of this, and you're just going in one hole, back through this hole, and pull it tight. Go through a hole, back through this hole, and pull it tight. So when I get this finished out, I'll show it to you, and we'll come back and we'll start another part of the process of making this sheath. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.